Hi, my name is Gustav Stenbeck, and since you're going to spend the next 15 minutes of your life with me, I figured you might just as well know who I am, right? So, quick intro. I do three things. First thing, I'm the CEO of a tech startup here in Stockholm where I live. Secondly, I'm a business angel. I invest in companies and I help them grow, and I only invest my own money. Thirdly, I'm a keynote speaker where I travel the world and talk about how sustainability and business are a match made in heaven. So a little bit about my background before I got to where I am today. I actually 20 years ago was a Greenpeace activist. So I spent a lot of time in the environmental area where I learned a lot and picked up a lot of the things where I'm actually using right now in order to build the companies that I'm invested in or that I'm running. But I thought it was incredibly interesting how one person could change the world. A Greenpeace activist truly believes that the one person can make a big difference. And some people ask me, it's a really big step going from Greenpeace activist on one side to business angel on the other side. I mean, you really jumped the fence here. What's the difference? And I mean, what happened? And I don't really see a big difference, to be honest. Both the Greenpeace activist and the venture capitalist truly believe that the one person can change the world. It's kind of inherent in the system that you believe in if you're working as an entrepreneur or a business angel, or if you're working as a Greenpeace activist for that matter. You truly believe that the one person can make a difference, and that's what I still believe. Now, there's two pretty simple rules to all the companies that I work with, and they need to be able to do two things. And the first thing is that they need to be profitable, or at least they need to have the concept of being profitable. Obviously, if you're working with startups, they might not be profitable today, but they're most likely going to be profitable in the future. At least that's what you're working for. So first thing is profitability. Secondly, they need to be able to make the world a better place. And if the companies that I work with can't do both, I am not interested in either investing or running that particular company. And it's quite simple, to be honest, because if you can only make money and you can't make the world a better place, I think you're going to be in trouble pretty soon, because we have a lot of big challenges to solve on this planet, well, right now and within the next 10 years as a deadline. And if you can't do that as a company in a credible manner, I think you're going to go obsolete within the next 5 to 10 years. So you need to have a very specific answer to that question. And if you don't, I think you're going to get turned away by consumers, customers, or companies going forward in the future. So unless you can make the world a better place, I don't think you've got a sustainable future as a company. And secondly, well, you need to be able to make money. And if you can't make money, well, there's no reason in being a company. Then be an NGO or something else. If you want to be a company, you also need to have the basic idea of profitability. It has to be there. If you're not profitable, you're not essentially being a company. Or if you don't have the outlook of becoming profitable, you're essentially not being a company. And I think it's important that companies pick up the slack here, because states and governments and politicians, they've kind of had their shot. Because we've known for the past 20, 30, 40 years pretty much where everything's going. I mean, the climate science and the science in general is there. And when it looks onto general sustainability with big supply chains working out of countries that have, well, many risks when it comes to actually supplying both people, competencies, and natural resources to that supply chain, I think we've known for a pretty long time where things are going, and politicians have as of yet been unable to step up and solve the problems we're actually facing. So for me, we need to think differently, and companies really need to step up. And I think if you get to a point where companies can be both profitable and sustainable, and here I'm talking sustainable, I'm not meaning that they're going to make the world a little less bad. I mean that they're going to make the world a better place. So essentially, if you buy the product from a company, you help improve the world, not make the world a little less bad, because that's essentially the standpoint a lot of companies have today. If you can do that, you can actually scale companies and make the world a better place and get people rich at the same time. So that's kind of my mission. And it's really well epitomized by what it says here on my arm. Well, it says, I want it all, obviously. And it's because I just don't want the one thing. I don't want a company that can only make the world a better place because, well, obviously financially it's not going to be around. And secondly, I don't want to have a company that can't make a profit, because in the end, profits is what everything runs on. I'm not a philanthropist, I'm a capitalist, but at the same time, I'm kind of an activist. So I think that sums up quite well what I am. And then let's get into the numbers here, because I want to show you something really interesting where I build a lot of the foundations of what I talk about and how I see things today. So come with. So let's have a look at a couple of numbers. And before I get started, there's a reason why I'm sitting hunched over this table. It's because I was actually supposed to give this lecture on a whiteboard in my office, but I'm kind of coming off the tail end of the flu here. Don't know which, and I don't think I'd be welcome at the office right now. So I'm actually doing this recording in my wife's studio. So I don't have access to a whiteboard here, so I needed to get creative. And the only thing I could think of was to raid my daughter's Lego drawer. So I'm going to use Legos as sort of a presentational tool here to tell you a little bit about how I view the world and what I think is important when it comes to actually focusing on sustainability. And for doing that, I'm obviously going to need Legos, but I'm also going to need this kind of red square that I can put my Legos on top of. So here we go. Here's my foundation, and then let's have a look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you a couple of big economies. So these economies are going to be countries, and they're going to be based around not GDP, but revenues. So how much taxes do these countries actually rake in every year so they can use it for whatever kind of expenditures they have. And I'm doing this because I think it's important to kind of get an idea of how large economies are and how much money they've got to spend on things as legislation and sustainability. So we're going to start off with the first one, and then I'm going to bring the first couple of bricks here. And the first country I'm going to put up here is going to be Greece. So here you've got Greece. 2 bricks. Each brick represents revenues of 50 billion US dollars. So here you've got 2 bricks. Obviously then Greece is turning over approximately 100 million US dollars. I mean, that's their government budget. That's how much money they've got to spend each year. So let's keep going. Let's put another country up here. Well, I've told you that I'm Scandinavian, right? So obviously I need to put a Scandi country up here, and that's going to be Denmark, at least the first one. And Denmark's a fairly small country, sure, but I mean, it's turning over, well, 3 bricks high. So obviously it's turning over approximately 150 billion US dollars. It's actually a little bit higher, but it's in that approximation. Well, I'm Swedish. I couldn't leave Sweden out, could I? So here's Sweden. So Sweden has a stack that is about 5 bricks high, and that means that it's turning over, well, approximately 275 billion US dollars. So obviously there's a little bit of rounding going on to get it to be an even brick, but so 275, that's approximately the government budget of Sweden. So Greece, Denmark, and here Sweden. Let's keep going because I want to put a fairly big country up here as well. And here's Brazil. Well, you can see how well I've done with the color coordination here, right? I've taken some time to actually find the right bricks in my daughter's Lego drawer. I think I've done quite well. So here's Brazil. And Brazil's turning over approximately 620 billion US dollars. I mean, that's their revenues. So, I mean, obviously a bigger country than Sweden, Denmark, Greece, and so on. So, yeah, big. And then let's take another country up here, and this is going to be Italy. So Italy here, as you can see, is higher than Brazil, obviously, and Italy has a revenue of approximately 890 billion US dollars. So here's a couple of countries. I mean, I could actually put the US up here, but I ran out of bricks. The US is huge. It's the world's largest economy. They're turning over approximately 6.7 trillion US dollars. So they're about 10 times the size here of Brazil. But if you look at kind of the size game here, which ones are the really big ones here, you can actually rank them by revenues. So if the US is number 1, China's number 2 actually. But then Italy here is going to turn in on the 7th spot on that global biggest economies list. So here's Italy, it's the 7th largest economy in the world. Here's Brazil, it's around 10th biggest in the world. Sweden is about 15th. Denmark is approximately in the 20 to 25 range, and Greece is about 30th on the biggest economies of the world list. So 30, 25-ish, 15-ish, 10-ish, 7th-ish. So these are the countries. And I want to tell you something interesting about this. And to do that, I need to actually put in a new stack. And that stack is going to go right here in the middle. There we go. What is this new stack that I put in? So obviously it's a big economy. It's an economy that sizes up to approximately 520 billion US dollars. And obviously, if you know your country colors, you've already started thinking what is dark blue and orange. And I can tell you that you'll have to start thinking for quite some time before you're going to find a country of this size, because this is not a country. This is the world's largest economical private, well, in this case, actually public, but company. So the world's largest company when it comes to revenues is the American titan Walmart. And Walmart is approximately the 10th biggest economy in the world. If you count India, it's going to be about 11th, but India is growing pretty fast. So if you look at 2019 revenues, Walmart is about 10th in the world, and Brazil's just before it on 9th or 10th. So these are actually adjacent to each other pretty much when you look on the world's largest economies list. So Walmart's a pretty big economical entity here, right? You can really tell that it's, well, huge. So, I mean, look at Walmart and compare it to Sweden, Denmark, and Greece. I mean, these countries, they look minuscule in comparison, right? Minuscule. And it's another interesting thing. You can actually do this. You can actually take Denmark, stack it on top of Sweden, and take Greece and stack that on top of Denmark. And you're only going to reach a revenue that is approximately the same as Walmart. So Sweden, Denmark, and Greece combined aren't actually bigger as economies, or not by much, than Walmart is. And this is really important because obviously, if you're looking towards sustainability and you're looking towards politicians to solve your problems, sure, they can probably do a good job. But if you actually follow the money, you can tell that, well, if you're going to follow the money, perhaps it's more important to get Walmart to start working even better with sustainability than they're doing today than it is to get Sweden, Denmark, and Greece to do it collectively. I think that's quite interesting. And if we extrapolate this trend and look on the 100 largest economies of the world list, I think you're going to be even more surprised that most of the economical entities on there are not going to be countries. It's going to be companies. About 70% of the world's 100 largest economies are actually companies. 30% are countries, 70% are companies. So it's a huge disparity there. And if you look at Sweden, I'm just going to give you that as a waypoint. Sweden is actually flanked by two large automakers. So Volkswagen is bigger than Sweden's economy, and Toyota is just about smaller than Sweden's economy on any given day. So Sweden is actually about the same size as Toyota or Volkswagen. So there again, what's most important, to get the government of Sweden working with sustainability, or get the corporations of Toyota and Volkswagen to actually start working with sustainability. And this is the foundation of everything that I work with. Companies are huge today. And getting companies to acknowledge and work according to a model where they're actually creating shared value and not only value for their shareholders is incredibly important, because the companies are changing the world for better or for worse. And I think that companies need to be able to be a force for good. That's the list. I've talked a little bit about my motivations. I've talked a little bit about the corporate landscape and the size of companies. I want to give you just one tip on your way on how you can start working with sustainability in your company, or, well, in your organization. And this is one of the foundations that I always build my companies on. And that is that I want my customers to be able to show off my more environmentally or more sustainability friendly product. And I'm gonna use an example for you guys, and it's gonna be this sucker right here. Don't know if you've seen one before or if you even know what it is. Wanna have a guess? I'm gonna tell you. This is actually a drinking straw. So you open it up like so, and then on the inside, you have a straw. So you can carry this with you. Well, you actually fold it back up again and you carry it with you like so. And then you can attach it to your keychain. This is an invention called Final Straw. It's one of the most successful crowdsourcing campaigns that Kickstarter has ever done. So go online to Kickstarter and check out their commercial for Final Straw when they did their crowdsourcing or their crowdfunding. It was it was an amazing thing. I think they raised something in the lines of 1.8 million US dollars, and they wanted to sell these Final Straws at $25 a pop. So they were quite expensive. But the interesting thing is they're pushing partially the sustainability agenda quite hard. And what's interesting is that people obviously wanted to pay for them. And to be honest, I think it's kind of a funny invention. I'm not sure whether it's actually that environmentally friendly, especially not for me, because I ordered it from the US and it got airshipped here to Sweden. But it's something incredibly important with this, and that is that you really want to use this and bring it with you. That is what people generally bought this for. They wanted to come up to a McDonald's, and when they bought like a milkshake or something, they could say, no, I don't want a straw. I have my own. And then they take up their keychain with their Final Straw on top. They actually pull out it like so, and then they can drink their milkshake. and by the way, after you've had your milkshake in this straw, do you think you want to fold this back up and put it back in the case? I didn't think so. But they've thought about that. In the case itself, there is a drying rack. And when you pull it out, there's a squeegee that you can actually use and pull through your Final Straw. You know, you have to go to the bathroom, obviously, in your McDonald's to do this. But you go through and with your squeegee like this. And then when it's through, you can kind of, run it under the water like this. And then when you're done and it's all clean, you can actually just twirl it around back up again. And then you put it into the case. And then you collapse the straw, and then you're back in. Boom, all ready to go again. As I said, I'm not sure I think this is a very good idea, to be honest. I think it's fun, but it proves something incredibly important that everybody can take with them. And that's that people are generally willing to work and show off sustainability things if they can show them off. So if you're building something that's more sustainable and that's a worse product that people can't show off, you're going to be dead in the water. That's not a product that you're ever going to be able to sell. But if you can sell something that people generally want to show off, they want to show off a Final Straw or something in the lines of that. If you can build something like that, either a product or a service, or even associate your brand with that, you're going to be in an incredible, powerful place to get people to actually talk about your sustainable brand. And in that case, sustainability can be a huge brand builder, better than anything I ever knew. I don't have that much time. Unfortunately, my time's up. So if you want to get a hold of me, I'm on pretty much every social media known to man. So the easiest might be either Snapchat, Instagram, or most likely LinkedIn, I think would be your number one choice. But if you want to get a hold of me, just search Gustav Stenbeck online. You're going to find me, and I joyfully talk to you about any questions you might have. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation. Until then, have a great time.